He stood alone near the edge of the naval training compound, just an old man in a faded flannel shirt, scuffed boots, and a cap so sun-bleached you couldn't read the stitching anymore. He didn't speak, didn't move. He just watched, still as a statue, as young recruits crawled through sludge, scaled wooden walls, and shouted cadence under pressure. Most of them figured he was nobody, maybe a retired groundskeeper, maybe some local who'd wandered too close. No one gave him more than a glance until one recruit, a wiry kid named Hunter Cross, slowed his crawl long enough to notice something beneath the rolled sleeve of the old man's shirt. A tattoo, faint but sharp. Not decorative, not flashy. A tried-and-etched, exact earned. And just like that, Hunter stopped moving. He knew then. That man hadn't stumbled onto this field. He belonged here. He belonged before any of them ever did. Every Thursday, the old man came. Always early. Always alone. Before the shouting, before the instructors arrived, before the compound buzzed with drills and dust. He'd pull his rusted Chevy out of the dirt lot just beyond the perimeter fence, step out slowly, favoring one leg like it had never quite healed right, and limp toward the edge of the field. He never crossed the line into the training zone. He didn't need to. He'd just stand there, one boot turned slightly inward, arms folded, watching. To most, he looked like someone wasting time. But if you watched closely, really watched, you'd see his eyes following every movement. You'd see his shoulders twitch when a recruit dropped a rifle during the crawl. You'd see his jaw clench at sloppy form during a wall climb. That wasn't judgment. That was muscle memory. Younger recruits ignored him. Older ones cracked, jokes called him the ghost or the grandpa, but the instructors never laughed. They didn't know his name, but they understood what he was. No one ever asked him to leave. In places like this, respect isn't handed out. It's sensed. And whatever he had done, it earned him the right to be there, silent and unquestioned. He never wore anything that hinted at his past. No medals, no rank beans. Just the old flannel shirt, sleeves rolled, the cap tugged low. But sometimes in the wind, the cuff would lift just high enough to reveal that tattoo. Not just any tried and old one, the kind given before mottos were trademarked and stories were sold to networks. The kind that marked you without ceremony and stayed with you through everything you didn't talk about. That day was hot. The air hung heavy over the field like a wet towel. Instructors barked commands through bullhorns while recruits dragged themselves through dirt and sweat. Hunter Cross, among the youngest of the bunch, was struggling to push through the fatigue when he saw the man again. Same spot, same posture, leaning against that same rusted post. Still, unmoving. He didn't hold a clipboard, didn't call out advice, just stood there, observing. To most, he was nothing more than a shadow, some harmless drifter from town. But Hunter had started noticing the way his head tilted as if anticipating mistakes. The way he stood unfidgeting, balanced like he'd trained his body to stillness. And then, in a gust of dry wind, the cuff of his sleeve lifted. Hunter saw it, the trident, inked so long ago it seemed part of his skin. Not big, not loud, just there. Steady. Hunter didn't say anything, but something shifted inside him. Not fear, not awe, just awareness. That man wasn't an observer. He was a memory in motion, a living relic of something too deep to name. That evening, after the last drill had ended and most of the squad had slumped back into barracks, Hunter walked past the gravel lot behind the training center. The old Chevy was still there. The old man, too, sipping from a dented thermos, eyes on the now empty course. Hunter didn't go near. He stood a respectful distance away, silent. The old man didn't speak, didn't acknowledge him. He didn't need to. His presence filled the space without demanding it. When he stood, it was deliberate, fluid, not with effort, just with control. He glanced at Hunter. No smile, no, just a look. Sharp, measuring. Then he climbed into the truck, shut the door gently, and drove off, his tires crunching gravel like a slow drumbeat. Hunter stayed there long after the dust settled. That night, Hunter couldn't sleep. His muscles screamed. His throat was sandpaper from the dry heat. But it wasn't the pain that kept him awake. It was the look, the tattoo, the silence. He'd seen videos of men pretending to be SEALs. Flashy, boastful, over-rehearsed. But this man was different. Everything about him was understated. Real. Around 2 a.m., Hunter crept out of the bunkhouse, found a quiet corner of the mess hall, and opened his laptop. His fingers were still raw, nails packed with dirt. He typed without knowing what to search. Old SEAL, training observer. Trident tattoo. Retired visitor. Nothing. Then a flicker. A visitor log from 2 years ago. A name, D. Braddock. No photo. No title. Just a line in the notes, cleared for silent observation. No indictment. That wasn't normal. Nobody got that kind of access without a reason. And this clearance had no expiration date. Hunter dug deeper. Found one old document classified, half redacted from a 2002 training overhaul. A name again, Braddock Daniel. Former SO1. Consulted on recon protocol. No service number listed. No rank confirmation. Just presence. Then, in the deepest part of an archived oral history file, one more reference. SEAL Team 2. 1969. Laos. Deep infiltration. No records filed. Outcome, classified. Braddock listed as team lead. Hunter leaned back, hands in his hair. Laos. Back then, that wasn't even supposed to exist. Those missions never made headlines. No records, no medals. Just ghosts. And somehow, one of them was here, watching. He didn't come for glory. He didn't want to be known. He came to see if they were worthy of what came before. That Thursday, Braddock returned. Same truck, same walk, same stance by the fence. But something was different. Hunter felt it. The instructors moved quieter, more deliberate. Like the air itself carried weight. They hadn't spoken about Braddock. No one had. But somehow everyone knew. One instructor, a decorated petty officer with ribbons Hunter hadn't even heard of, paused during a jog. He looked at Braddock, froze, then nodded slightly, not in greeting, in recognition. By late afternoon, instructors began to gather near the edge. Not in a group, not by plan. One by one, they stopped 10 feet from the fence, standing at attention. One came, then another, then more. They said nothing. They didn't look at each other. They just faced him. Braddock didn't move. He looked at them, then turned to leave. As he opened his truck door, a voice called out. "Sir," the Master Chief said, "would you speak to the recruits next week?" Braddock paused, one foot in the cab. He looked back. "Nothing to say," he said, then drove off. No show. No thanks. Just the low rumble of tires over gravel, fading like smoke. But no one left that fence line right away. The compound returned to normal. Or at least it tried. Drills resumed. Recruits fell back into the rhythm of sweat and repetition. But something under the surface had shifted. Hunter carried it with him. In the way he stood now. In the way he drilled. He brought it up one night, just above a whisper. "We should mark it," he said. Lane 4. Fence line. No one asked why. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't speak to command. A few nights later, they slipped out with a polished brass plate, no larger than a hand. They bolted it inside the fence. Simple. Subtle. No name. Just a line. Reserved until he says otherwise. No ceremony. No notice. But every Thursday after that, when Braddock arrived, he paused by the plaque. Didn't touch it. Didn't smile. Just looked. Then turned back to the field. And that was enough. Weeks later, one of the older instructors grizzled, quiet recognized the ink. Not from a record. From a photo buried in a top drawer. A black and white team shot. Mud-soaked faces. One of them was Braddock. Back when the job didn't come with hashtags or camera crews. He kept coming. Always quiet. Always alone. Until one Thursday he didn't. No word. No explanation. Just absence. They waited. 1 week. 2. A month. The plaque stayed. So did the silence. One evening, Hunter returned to Lane 4. Alone. The field was quiet. He stood where Braddock had stood. Folded his arms. Watched the training course under the sunset. And as he turned to leave, he noticed something taped to the back of the plaque. A small envelope. Weather-worn. His name on it. Just cross. Inside, a single challenge coin. Old. Scuffed. One side, the trident. The other side, Nothing but a scratch line. Still watching. He never found out who left it. He didn't need to. Some warriors leave medals. Some leave legends. The rarest leave nothing but presence. Daniel Braddock never asked to be remembered. He didn't speak to prove who he was. He didn't need to, because the silence he left behind was louder than any story ever told. And in that silence, a generation learned to listen.